Will admitted to me that he had sex with Bryshere Gray, but it was consensual, right? You know, Diddy made me suck his penis. You know what's going on. You know Charlie made me suck. Well, I'm going to give you a chapter from the book since I owed you something.
Okay.
In the book, in one of the chapters, they talk about mentorship. So I grabbed my husband. I said, listen, I don't know. I didn't know what happened. Nothing. I was just asked to come. Is this true? Yeah. No. I'm gonna let you about to see if it's true from the paperwork. Oh, we telling something that got paperwork.
He's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love, and all he has to do is add discipline, and he gonna be all right.
It's like Uncle Will, you know. Who is best to give you advice? And it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice.
A lot of stuff is about to come out about Will, Jada, and Charlie Mack. It is gonna be unbelievable.
Sexual, they do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills, Bryshere Gray, left that house screaming. August, the only one that stayed, and I guess he was really sick. He needed a dog.
It's no secret in Hollywood that Jada hates me because I have a strong relationship with Will, and I do my own thing.
Why don't she hate Dwayne?
I can't answer that question.
Why don't she hate Dwayne Martin?
Well, she's gonna love anybody that treats her like she's a god, right? When you're a narcissist and a sociopath like she is, and I'll get into.
When you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and picked out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
Door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having anal sex with Will.
Let me process that for a second.
There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up on him. Murder, like murder. It was murder in there.
We put out the interview. All we put out was a clip that went ultra viral. Okay, everybody in the world got this clip. It was trending for days on Twitter. Okay. Before the interview comes out, what shocked me is Jada is doing her book promotional for Worthy.
Yes.
She goes to the Breakfast Club and she sits down and they ask her about you, but they can't not ask. Like, it's so huge.
Right.
And to my surprise, she answers.
It's ridiculous, right? And it's nonsense. And this is a person that tried a money shakedown that didn't work. We're going to take legal action.
The reason Will responded, the reason why Jada responded, because they know it's true. Will's never responded. And they responded in less than 9 hours.
They did. That was a fast response.
That was because he know what I saw in that dressing room. He know other things that I saw. She did all this to try to scare me, but I fear no one but Allah. Jada, listen, in 2 weeks, if you don't sue me in 2 weeks, if Tasha K will have me, I'm back here and I'm dropping evidence. Period. You said I extorted you. You said there's a money shakedown. You said a lot of things about me. And you know that the things that you said were untrue. Let's get into a little bit more of it. Jada runs Will. Period. Me and her at war. I'm gonna put Will to the side. Will is to the side. Me and Jada, I will say this because I know you're watching. I know Karen Tense is watching.
Who's Karen Tense?
That is her PR person for years.
Okay.
Right? I know they're watching. Jada, you're a bald head liar and you're a addict, right?
Oh, God.
You told the world that you were going to sue me. as of yet. And you said you're going to do it swift. It's been over 2 weeks. So Jada, I'm giving you 2 more weeks to sue me. If you don't sue me, this is what's going to happen. All the parties, right? And the people, the men that you hit with dildos, I'm naming names, right? All the salacious stuff that you have done and hurt other people, I'm naming names. You assassinate my character. You say I extort you. Well, extortion is criminal. Like, I would be in jail right now if I tried to when I'm in Chicago, this guy's acting erratic. Like, I mean, crazy. He's getting stopped by the cops. There's male prostitutes involved. There's mental illness involved. There's drug use involved. And I'm really trying to see what happened to this guy. And one day he said, you know what happened. You know that Will R-worded me, or however y'all kind of say it on YouTube. You know that Diddy assaulted me, and you know Charlie Mack made me suck his private part, right? And I'm like, whoa, this was a full admittance. And he's going, and I'm like, I didn't know anything. He's in the corner, balled up, snot, so much sweating and pain that blood is coming from his nose, right? And this is me and him in a conversation. And he was like, please don't tell him. Please don't tell him, right? Will admitted to me that he had sex with Bryshere Gray, but it was consensual, right? So I'm like, okay, so now it's starting to make sense, because I would have never believed that the way this guy's acting, something had to happen. So now, Will told me, and this is going to be in paperwork and everything, right? So when Will told me that he did have sexual intercourse with Bryshere, he said Bryshere did ask him to stop. Will said he completed the act, then stopped. Right then and there, when a person says stop, that means stop. Period. So I do believe that Will Smith assaulted Bryshere Gray. Charlie Mack and Will gets a lawyer for Bryshere, and they try to get me under NDA. I tell Will, I'm not signing. I don't even have an NDA with you. How am I getting an NDA with him? You understand what I'm saying? So I hire a lawyer, right? Mm-hmm. When I hire the lawyer, he comes back and say, listen, this is the best I can do. He said, I'm going to have y'all do a mutual NDA, meaning that Bryshere can't tell people that you know that Will and Diddy thought of him. And I want to say the R word, but I know we're on YouTube. Then you can't say nothing about him. So I said, okay, well, as long as he stopped telling people that I know what Will and Diddy did to him. You understand what I'm saying? Period. That was the problem. So there's legal paperwork, and it's all going to be, and you got to follow this case. All that's coming out in court.
Man, Charlie Mack. So Charlie was with me every step of the way. First out the limo. So Charlie has been with me, 30 years coming up in the business. So, he's surrounded by a whole lot of strength. He's surrounded by a whole lot of love. And all he has to do is add discipline, and he gonna be all right.
It's like Uncle Will, Who is best to give you advice? And it's Will Smith, and I'm getting so much good advice. I got my first acting role, Empire, and it's changing my life. And it's like I'm listening from the greatest, and it's like making me.
Bryshere Gray, one of the stars of the hit show Empire. Tonight we're seeing hours of new video from his July arrest that ended with his wife flagging down police and telling them the actor had assaulted her for hours inside their Goodyear home. The bizarre jailhouse interview lasting for 2 hours as they try to piece together a chaotic chain of.
Here's Mom. I'ma kick you in your and then I'ma go to work North Philly style. Fuck you. And Charlie. You happy now? He's a gay star. Are you happy now, Andy? For a book that didn't sell. I hope that new husband of yours leaves you. And maybe it's time you tell your son why his father is really in jail, his biological father, for all of his life, and what you had to do with it. You can see that came to me and begged me for my help. I told her to get the away from Charlie. I did everything that I could do to get Bryshere, to help her get Bryshere out of California into Chicago safe, to be ready for filming. She knew she knew what Will did to him. But because of Charlie, see? And Charlie had promised her all kinds of things. And all she had to do was pretend to be a broken down single mom who worked her way up through the ghetto and raised a superstar for television, when the truth is she wasn't nothing but a drug dealer's whore. That's all she ever was. She went from dealer to dealer, and then she snitched on whoever she needed to snitch on until she could get to the bigger bag, until she got with Larry Lair, my friend who raised Bryshere in $1 million home. Your whole book is lies, Andy. And I hope anybody that bought it asks for a refund and demands it comes out of your pocket every time they see your son's gay porn. I'm gonna slap him out so he'll feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him. With Jaden and Justin present, that tape exists.
Okay.
I really hope none of that baby oil was used on those kids. That would just be in bad taste. Baby oil on babies.
You can't say that the flavor camp was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. You just come on. Come on.
Starting to sound that way, ain't it?
No.
All that talent, and she let Charlie tune that boy up on, knowing that he was bipolar and had ADHD. What kind of mother would do that to her son? Turn him into a prostitute so you could pretend to be something more than what you are, which is nothing more than a Philly whore. You're a big old and they're making your son out to be, that's for sure. Because he didn't have no choice. You was down by all.
Hey.
I'm sorry. The Bryshere conversation for me is not easy. Because I came to Bilal and I asked Bilal to help me save the kids, and all he was worried about was his fucking book.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Nobody care about these kids. Don't nobody care about these kids.
Down because he was like, Charlie Mack is not going to be able to be there because him and Charlie had something else going on. I rob in Chicago for Empire. It's a damn mess. It's no other way to put it. This dude is going crazy.
Was doing things to boys and did stuff to your son, and you ain't do shit about it. Bilal told me everything.
Their good friend who
Bilal told me. Jada. He told me that you knew Will was f***ing your child. Yes, he did. Wonder why he left that out of his Tasha K interview.
Yeah, in that interview, he said a lot. He said a lot.
He said everything but the thing that was important. That he know that Will Smith, Jaden, he raped Bryshere and he raped me.
Hollywood, that Jada hates me because I have a strong relationship with Will and I do my own thing.
Why don't she hate Dwayne?
I can't answer that question.
Why don't she hate Dwayne Martin?
Well, she's gonna love anybody that treats her like she's a god, right? When you're a narcissist and a sociopath like she is, and I'll get into that, you want to be worshipped.
Hollywood secrets don't usually unravel this loudly. But when someone from inside the inner circle starts naming names, waving paperwork, and daring a power couple to sue, the silence gets suspicious real fast. What started as a chaotic interview has now spiraled into a web of explosive allegations involving Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, industry mentorships gone wrong, courtroom threats, and a trail of young men whose lies allegedly unraveled after getting too close. From viral interviews to whispered NDAs and claims so graphic they left audiences stunned. This story isn't just messy, it's the kind of Hollywood scandal that refuses to stay buried. It all detonated in a matter of hours, the kind of moment that hijacks timelines and turns casual scrolling into wide-eyed silence. When someone who claimed to be deep inside a Hollywood power circle went public and refused to whisper. One interview clip was enough to set the internet on fire, ricocheting across platforms as viewers replayed it in disbelief, because this wasn't a faceless rumor account or a distant observer. This was an alleged insider naming names, claiming paperwork existed, and daring the people involved to respond. And respond they did, fast. Within hours, legal threats were allegedly flying, statements were being issued, and damage control kicked into overdrive, which only made the clip spread faster. The speed was the story before the story. Interviews going viral overnight, accusations escalating by the minute, and a once quiet narrative suddenly dragged into the open with lawsuits mentioned before sunrise. That urgency is what stopped people mid-scroll, because when powerful figures react that quickly, audiences don't hear denial, they hear panic. And just like that, what could have been dismissed as internet noise became a full-blown spectacle, with everyone asking the same question at the same time. If this was nothing, why did it all move so fast? The reason this story refuses to die is because the person at the center of it isn't a distant commentator or a clout-chasing outsider. He's someone who claims he was there. A former assistant, confidant, and close friend to one of Hollywood's most powerful families, he positions himself as a man who moved quietly behind the scenes for years, watching how the machine actually worked. According to him, proximity was everything. He wasn't just present for red carpets and photo ops. He claims he saw the private conversations, the emotional breakdowns, the favors exchanged, and the moments that were never meant to leave closed rooms. That's what makes his allegations feel dangerous. Not because they're loud, but because they're specific. He isn't speaking in hypotheticals. He speaks like someone who believes the risk is already baked in, like someone who knows bridges are burned and protection is gone. When someone with alleged first-hand access starts talking publicly and dares lawsuits instead of dodging them, audiences don't just listen. They lean in because that's the posture of a person who thinks silence is no longer an option. And at the center of everything he's alleging is one word that keeps coming up again and again: mentorship. In Hollywood, mentorship is sold as salvation. It's the promise whispered to young talent that if you just get close enough to the right person, your life will change. Guidance, protection, access. According to the claims being made, that promise is exactly what allegedly drew vulnerable young men into certain inner circles. They were told they were being developed, sharpened, prepared for greatness. But the darker allegation is that mentorship became leverage. That advice came with expectations. That boundaries blurred slowly, quietly, until speaking up felt impossible. The eeriest part of the narrative isn't explosive behavior. It's control through gratitude, fear, and silence. Allegedly, once someone was inside, careers stalled instead of soared, and the unspoken rule became clear: you don't talk about what happens behind closed doors if you want to survive in the industry. This is where Bryshere Gray's story becomes the emotional core of the entire saga. Before the chaos, before the headlines, before the arrests and breakdowns, he was a rising star. Young, talented, visible, and optimistic, exactly the kind of person Hollywood claims it wants to protect. According to multiple accounts and online speculation, his connection to powerful mentors was once framed as a blessing, a shortcut to longevity in the industry. Interviews from that time show someone hopeful, grateful, convinced he was learning from the best. And then, suddenly, everything changed. His career momentum slowed. His personal life unraveled publicly. Legal issues, erratic behavior, and substance struggles became the headlines instead of his talent. The allegation suggests that whatever happened during that mentorship period didn't just end. It left damage. And whether people believe the claims or not, the visible contrast between who he was before and who he became after is what makes audiences uneasy. This isn't framed as scandal for shock value. It's framed as loss. Things escalated when the interviews started stacking up, each one more volatile than the last. What shocked viewers wasn't just what was said, but how it was said, unfiltered, emotional, and sometimes disturbingly calm. Rather than leaning into graphic detail, the speaker paraphrased moments that implied coercion, power imbalance, and consent being ignored. He described conversations where stop was allegedly said and not honored. He spoke about emotional breakdowns he claims to have witnessed firsthand, moments of fear and paranoia that didn't align with a consensual narrative. The restraint is what made it hit harder. Instead of overwhelming the audience with explicit imagery, the interviews allowed viewers to connect the dots themselves, which made the allegations linger long after the clips ended. And then came the legal pressure, fast, aggressive, and public. Alleged cease and desist letters. Lawsuits threatened within hours. Claims of non-disclosure agreements being pushed retroactively. Accusations of extortion fired back just as loudly as the original claims. According to The Insider, the legal response wasn't just defensive, it was intimidating. He alleges he was warned to stay quiet, urged to sign documents, and told the consequences of continuing would be severe. But instead of retreating, he doubled down, returning to multiple platforms and openly daring the people involved to take him to court. That's where the stakes skyrocketed. Because in the court of public opinion, people don't just ask who's telling the truth. They ask why silence costs so much. And when lawyers show up before the facts are even fully aired, the question becomes impossible to ignore. If nothing happened, why does everyone seem so afraid of what might come out next? As the allegations grew louder, attention inevitably shifted toward Jada. Not because she was at the center of the original claims, but because of how quickly her name became part of the response. In scandals like this, silence can be powerful, but reaction can be louder. According to public interviews, legal filings, and online speculation, Jada is being framed by critics as the gatekeeper of the narrative, the one allegedly managing optics, controlling responses, and deciding when to push back and when to stay quiet. Some see her as fiercely protective, others as calculating, but nearly everyone agrees on one thing. Nothing moves in that household without her awareness. The battle here isn't just about what allegedly happened. It's about who gets to define what people believe happened. And as blame shifts back and forth, so does sympathy. At times, Will is positioned as the central figure. At other times, Jada is framed as the strategist, the enforcer, the one who allegedly confronts threats to the family brand head-on. Whether fair or not, the perception has turned this into a power struggle over credibility, with each side implicitly asking the public the same question. Who are you more inclined to believe? Once that question was out in the open, the internet did what it always does. It started connecting dots. Viewers began pulling up old interviews, resurfacing blind items, and comparing this situation to other industry scandals where mentorship allegedly blurred into exploitation. Names from unrelated cases started trending alongside this one, not because they were linked by evidence, but because the pattern felt familiar to audiences. Powerful figures, young talent, promises of guidance, sudden career derailments, enforced silence. None of this is new to Hollywood, and that's precisely why people are paying attention now. The allegations didn't land in a vacuum. They landed in an industry already on edge, already primed to believe that what looks glamorous on the outside can be corrosive behind the scenes. Online, people aren't saying, "This must be true." They're saying, "We've heard stories like this before." And that context, fair or not, is what keeps the conversation alive. What adds fuel to the fire is the constant mention of things the public hasn't seen yet. Alleged paperwork, claimed NDAs, court filings that haven't been unsealed, witnesses who haven't spoken publicly. The insider at the center of this storm repeatedly insists that everything he's saying can be backed up, that timelines exist, that agreements were drafted, that lawyers were involved long before interviews ever aired. Whether those documents ever surface is the looming question, because once a story shifts from interviews to evidence, the rules change. And the repeated teasing of receipts, without dropping them, creates a pressure cooker effect. Audiences are being told this isn't the full story, that what's public is only the surface layer, and that legal proceedings will eventually force details into the open whether anyone wants them there or not. And that's where this all leaves us, at a crossroads. More people are threatening to speak. Lawsuits are allegedly pending or already filed. Timelines are tightening. Silence is becoming harder to maintain. So the real question isn't whether this story is messy. It's whether it's about to explode or quietly disappear. Because Hollywood has a long history of burying things when the right pressure is applied. But it also has a history of underestimating what happens when too many people decide they're done protecting the same secrets. So now it's up to the audience to decide. Are we witnessing the beginning of a long legal reckoning or the final moments before the narrative gets locked down for good? Either way, this story isn't finished. It's just reached the point where the next move matters most.